Morning of my trip to Santiago. Gonna travel very comfortable. I'm just wearing this like loose hoodie that I got at the I don't know how, but they found me concert. Ignore all the mess in the back. As I've mentioned before, I just moved and I'm still figuring that out. But I'm all packed. Everything's in here. Believe I'm good with just all the check bags. Yeah. Let's go to South America, where no vertigo has been before. Does my hair look okay? Hey guys, welcome back to yet another Vertigo video. We are kind of going to continue with the whole like experimental thing, because today I'm actually going to talk to you about my trip to the Southern Hemisphere. And I specifically visited the very interesting country of Chile, specifically the capital city of Santiago, or Santiago de Chile, depending on what your convictions are. I haven't decided if I will be converting to Chileanism yet, but yeah, we'll see how this goes, and maybe I'll decide. So I'm going to talk about this trip kind of in like 5 categories. The first one is going to be planning. So the planning stage. So like, why did I go to Chile? Good question. So in January of this year, I decided I was going to take 3 international trips. I've been working, to be quite honest, I've been working my ass off the past couple years, and I've been able to save a little bit of money with my job, and I thought, hey, like, fuck it, I deserve it, okay? So it was gonna be Chile in the summer, Spain in the fall, and Mexico in the winter. I don't speak Spanish perfectly, but I can speak the language, and I figured I wanted to go to 3 Spanish-speaking countries. I'd already gone to Spain before, so I figured, you know, maybe I'll spend like a month there, you know, do something crazy. Spend a month in Spain. Sounds kind of lame, right? So trip number 1 has concluded, and I got to report I had a lovely time in Chile. But once again, let's get to the planning. So I went most simply because I had never been to South America before, nor had I been to the Southern Hemisphere. And I was a huge geography nerd. When I was a kid, I could tell you, you know, where every country was. I could name every capital. I could tell you all the flags, stuff like that. And I always kind of liked Chile. Very interestingly shaped. I mean, the country has just an incredible diversity of geography, a really fascinating history, and it has a cool flag. And it's, you know, located much closer to the southern of the globe, and I had never been anywhere close to there. So I did some basic research on Santiago. I know historically Chile has kind of been considered one of the most, if not the most developed country in South America, and Santiago being the hub, the capital of that country, I mean, I figured like, why the hell not? Let's like check this out. So my brother went with me, Novel, and he will be seen in a couple more short videos as this video continues. But honestly, my attitude as to why I went was just kind of like, hey, like I kind of want to, and I don't really know anyone else who's been there. I mean, sure, people go to Chile for skiing, you know, during the winter, which, you know, I went during the winter, Southern Hemisphere, so therefore everything's reversed. But I don't really know too many people personally who've even been to South America. So I definitely wanted to check that off my list. Hey guys, it's Vertigo again. We are at Terminal 4. Novel's here. And we're going to check our bags. And then in many, many hours, we'll be able to get them. South America! Part 2 is the trip itself. Now, I flew directly from Los Angeles to Santiago, taking the only airline that flies directly from LA to Santiago, which is LATAM. And I gotta tell you guys, this is probably the best airline I've ever taken in my entire life. This isn't something that I'm normally too like picky about, but the flight attendants were kind of unbelievable. They all knew, they memorized like an entire plane full of people, who they were supposed to speak English to versus Spanish. They were extremely efficient, extremely nice. There was even this time, I was asked to change seats twice because I didn't realize, but like the woman next to me was pregnant and she thought she was gonna have to like get up and go to the bathroom a lot. And so I was sitting next to my brother. We both had aisle seats. And so they're like, you know, there's a seat for you. It's 10 aisles in the front and there's no one next to you. So what do you say? And I wanted to be next to my brother, so I was like, oh, no, like, no, don't worry, like, it's fine, like, I'd rather be here. And then they explained the situation about the pregnant woman, and they're like, don't worry, like, when we're about to land, we'll bring your brother up with you, and then you guys will get to be together. And they did it. They delivered on that. So top marks. Getting to the Santiago airport, great airport. The only thing that I will say, and I will say, for anyone who's flying into Santiago, please listen to this. Do not listen to anybody who's trying to get you a ride to the city or anywhere else. If they are not an official taxi person, if they are not an official taxista, don't listen to them, okay? They're scammers. You probably will get scammed, and they're really convincing, and there's a chance they might follow you a little bit. It is kind of sketchy. Probably the only thing sketchy that I can say that I experienced in Chile, honestly, and it was like the first thing. Customs was relatively easy. I mean, to go to Chile as an American, you know, you don't need a visa anymore. There used to be this thing where like you had to pay like $50. Scrap that, that's gone. You literally just need your passport, and they'll ask you, you know, where you're staying. They'll ask you some questions about where you're going and stuff. And I had to explain, you know, I'm there on vacation, but I'm also there to work, and I'm renting an Airbnb for 2 weeks. Lastly, and this is also important, they'll give you a ticket. That's like a document that has your name and like the reason for why you're staying. You will have to present that to them when you leave the country. So very important, this ticket that's given by the PDI, as they call it, PDI, yeah. Make sure you keep it, because that's going to be really important. I don't know what happens if you lose it, but don't. Just keep it. Part 3 basically is the city itself. Now, Santiago is definitely a city of neighborhoods. I mean, a lot of places in the city look pretty different. Where me and my brother stayed was specifically called Providencia, which I was under the impression was like the nicest neighborhood in the city. Boy, was I wrong. That's not a slight against Providencia. Providencia is very nice. There are awesome restaurants. The vibes are pretty chill. Honestly, I felt extremely safe, even like walking around to Oxo, which is basically Latin American 7-Eleven, at like midnight. I felt like it was completely safe. Very kind of touristy. I mean, we stayed right next to the Torre Castonera, which is the tallest building in Latin America. There is a lovely coffee shop / bar on the top floor. You do have to pay to get all the way up there, but the mall that it's kind of connected to is very nice. There's a movie theater, massive food court. I just want to say, Chileans know how to do food courts. I got to experience like 3 of them, and they were all better than the kind of run-of-the-mill, salt-of-the-earth food courts that we have in America. And so Providencia is very nice, but connected to Providencia is Las Condes and El Golf. And some parts of these neighborhoods are just like a little bit more conventionally downtown looking, very businessy. Some parts are very residential. You'll see a park here and there. Visually, it's very nice. But honestly, these 2 neighborhoods are kind of as nice as like anywhere I've ever been in my entire life. I mean, spending the last few years of my life in Philly, and I love Philly, okay? It's way nicer than that. I mean, the downtown looks awesome. Again, it feels safe. Lots of convenience stores. Lots of good places to get like, nice cheap food. You can get empanadas, which are very good in Santiago, by the way. But you'll see different kinds of empanadas. You'll see Argentinian, Venezuelan, Chilean. Just to be safe, I would recommend trying all of them. But again, the city's very nice. I mean, I went on many long walks during the day, evening, at night in these places, and they're all really nice. And as a people, which is kind of going to be what I say a little bit more about in the next bit, Chileans are very chill. I mean, it's kind of in the name, Chileans. That was my experience. Another thing that I will say, this El Centro, which is kind of the historic city center, it looks a little bit more crusty, a little bit more gritty. You definitely see the influence of like the classic Spanish European architecture, but there's definitely a little more sketchiness as you go closer to there. It's recommended that you don't really go at night. I was originally going to stay there before my brother decided to join me. I'm kind of happy I didn't, because it unlocked more opportunities for me to just go out at night. And if anyone tells you that like there's nothing really to do at night in Providencia, I would politely disagree. There are a lot of places that are open very late, a lot of really good restaurants, bars, and they all have really good reviews, and the vibes there are all immaculate. I mean, I'll show you right now, but like, there's even this rooftop bar at this hotel called the W, Santiago. Probably like the nicest hotel I've ever been in my life. Oh, guys, real quick, this hotel has an Audemars Piguet wall clock. That's how fancy it is. All right, we're out. W for Walsh, baby. Can find cool places to hang out, I promise. You know, you don't have to stick in El Centro to like have any semblance of like nightlife. You will be able to find it. Going back to El Centro, I mean, a nice, you know, fun place to walk around during the day. A lot of history, a lot of good museums. I wouldn't really recommend going much further west than La Moneda. You can, and you know, it's probably going to be fine. But we went to the National Natural History Museum and also the Museum of Human Rights. Both good museums, by the way. And the area that both are in, I mean, I don't think anything's going to happen to you. I didn't feel too sketched out. I didn't feel unsafe. But visually, it is, let's just say, kind of a little bit more like what the average American probably thinks Latin America looks like. The east side of the city is extremely nice, and there's so much to do there too. So I would definitely recommend making sure you stay more on the east side. But please don't just completely disregard the west side. I mean, during the day, explore, look around. It's often really cool just to see, like, you know, how different people live in a country that's so far away from my own. And honestly, like, I just kind of like really enjoyed that experience. Part 4, the people. So in general, as I said in the previous section, I found Chileans as a group to be very chill. I found that people weren't really expecting to see tourists. I don't know when people typically visit Santiago. I don't know how many people typically visit Santiago. I mean, both my flight to Chile and my flight back to America, it did feel like it was mostly Chileans both ways. So take from that from what you will. I think more Chileans come to America and then go back than kind of the other way around. I was actually kind of unclear. I hadn't really met that many Chilean people before, and I was under the impression, therefore, they don't really immigrate. Which, I mean, to be fair, it's a good country. I would understand not leaving. With that said, not a lot of English. It is the least amount of English I have probably ever encountered in my life. So if you go to Santiago, be prepared to speak Spanish. Be prepared to know a little bit. It was actually kind of funny. There was this Irish bar a little bit away from our Airbnb, and so you know, they speak really fast. Chileans speak very fast, and so even if you learn a little bit of Spanish, I would really try to practice like hearing it spoken quickly. They don't always pronounce all the letters in the words, and the words kind of just become all one word because of the pace. And so I tried to mimic that a little bit. And so there was this one interaction I had with this, I guess like the hostess at the Irish bar, where I was like, hola, ¿cómo estás? ¿Hay espacio para una persona en el bar? And then she was like, por supuesto, adelante. And then I respond, and I'm like, ¿puedo ver la carta, por favor? And then she's like, por supuesto, aquí la tienes. And so I was trying to, like, you know, just go really fast and, you know, try to sound like one of them. I don't want to stand out. Nowhere I go do I really want to be this, like, obvious American. And I think I've been decently successful with that. I mean, physical appearance-wise, there are plenty of just, like, white Chileans. I would say that the average person looks like they're on the lighter side of Latino. But honestly, as a city, I mean, I kind of saw a little bit of everybody there, which was cool. You know, I definitely enjoyed that. But because of that, no one necessarily assumed that Spanish wasn't my first language, which in America that wouldn't happen. And I like that when I've been to Spain and Chile, people don't assume that I don't speak Spanish. Just a little thing that I like. And so my girlfriend, she calls me, and so I answer the phone and I'm just like, oh, hey, what's up? And this woman who I was just talking to, like the quickness with which she just like does this entire double take is like, what? I wasn't expecting to hear that. Because when I want to, my accent in Spanish is very good. And, obviously, I think I sound like a native English speaker, though I've been accused of having a weird accent when I speak English. People think I'm from Boston, okay? I've been there a couple of times. Now, I'm not from Boston, I'm from LA. And yeah, all that is to say, no English, the people are cool. Be prepared to learn a little bit of Spanish. Um, and yeah, people are relatively quiet. You walk down the street, regardless of whether you're in El Centro, Las Condes, Providencia, people are relatively quiet. They're kind of keeping to themselves. They maintain like a reasonable amount of distance between themselves and you. Yeah, so overall, I'd say that like I'm a big fan of like, you know, Chilean people in general. I thought it was a very welcoming experience when people could tell that we weren't from there. Usually after conversing with us for a little bit, it was always considered like really cool. Like I kept getting asked like, "Oh, like you're from the U.S. Like how is your Spanish so good?" And people in other countries they don't know how prevalent Spanish is in America. Because I'll be like, "Oh, like my mom's family's from Mexico," which is true, and they'll be like, "Oh, but you're still from the U.S." So like, anyways, it's something that I think people from other countries don't understand as perfectly. But I find it really interesting. I mean, my Spanish tutor also, when he came to New York for the first time, he didn't realize how much Spanish he would hear. I mean, he says, hey, like, honestly, if I didn't know any English, I could get by just fine just speaking Spanish in New York. And so that's something that I feel like people don't understand. Sorry, this has been just like one rant after another, and I do kind of want to wrap this up soon. Lastly, okay, part 5, the food. The classic Chilean food is called el completo. It's basically a hot dog. Apparently, in like the 1920s, some guy from Santiago came to America, discovered the wonders of the American hot dog, and was basically like, oh my god, I gotta share this with all the people in my home country. And then the completo was born. And typically, in a completo, if you get the salchicha completa, which is the complete sausage, it's gonna have sauerkraut, mayo, tomato, and often you'll get this avocado mash on it too. Do not call that guac. That is not guac. Guac is a Mexican invention. It's called palta. Don't call it guac. And so very often the completos will come with palta on top. You can get it with like all kinds of other things. That is like the classic Chilean food. Sandwiches, lomo, which is I believe a cut of pork, on like a thick round roll, often also with like sauerkraut, mayo, sometimes mustard, tomato. They stuff their sandwiches. This country loves big sandwiches, and it's amazing. In addition to that, I think Chilean food is a little similar to Peruvian food. I mean, you'll find your typical like, kind of almost like flank steak type thing on white rice with, fries, onions, like that kind of thing. You will also find a lot of German restaurants. Apparently, about 2 million Chileans have Germanic ancestry, and Germanic immigration didn't just start during and after the war. It goes back to like the 1880s. You'll see a lot of that. They love their sausages. There's a local chain called Domino, which has all kinds of hot dogs, and I got a hot dog drenched in sauce that had a bunch of Doritos on it, and my god, that hit the spot. You'll find, all kinds of other food. They have a lot of American fast food places. You'll find Italian food, Mexican food, Spanish food, French food, fish and chips, British, Irish food. The street where our room was basically like Ramen Boulevard. There were like 4 different ramen places. One of them had a line like halfway down the block. Some days it was cool. There were good coffee shops, good bars. Alcohol was a little bit cheaper, so I kind of took advantage of that. Honestly, gastronomically, I didn't suffer at all. Now, while Chilean food is maybe not as conventionally renowned as maybe some of their Latin American counterparts, I was completely happy with the food. If you would like a personal recommendation, if you go to the Plaza de Armas, there is a restaurant called El Portal Ex Bahamondes. If that's incorrect, I'm gonna correct myself in the description. Get a freaking hot dog there. It's brilliant. It's chef's kiss. It's perfect. Please get a hot dog there. It'll change your life. That's probably my favorite hot dog I've had in my entire life. And I never expected to say that about South America. All in all, I gotta say, 2 weeks well spent. I did spend pretty much the vast majority of my time in Santiago. As I'm taking these trips, I'm kind of working while I'm there. And if you haven't seen one of my videos before, my day job is I'm a therapist, and I see most of my clients virtually. Hence, I can kind of do cool shit like this. So I'm gonna keep that up. Every time I go somewhere, I will do a little review about it. But honestly, I recommend you guys go. I mean, it's obviously like a little expensive to get there, but it is a really cool country. I'd like to go to Argentina, Brazil, Peru, plenty of other places. Let's see what happens next year. Obviously, I have my, pockets kind of emptied as a result of my traveling plan for this year. Great country. Thank you, Chile. Thank you for what was quite honestly an amazing stay. I had a great time. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed that this was like also something a little bit different. There will be more Smash therapeutic content coming. I have my ideas for the next few videos, so please stay tuned for that. Thank you again. I've been Vertigo, and you guys have been awesome, and I'll see you next time. Hey guys, it's Vertigo one more time. Flying over Peru, I watched Coco, and I ugly cried, as I always do. About 7.5 hours more to go before I get back to LA. Thanks for watching the video, and yeah, there's gonna be Smash Tier List Part 3 coming out soon, and I'll see you guys then. Peace.